Hey yo, are you afraid to die? Or do you want to live forever? Tell me.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Good evening. It's your boy J.O. back again for another video. I saw my subs go up. Cool. Thank y'all for that. So I'm just going to get into it. As you know, I get on YouTube whenever there's an itch I have to scratch, whenever there's something I got to get off my chest. I'm not looking for any kind of YouTube fame or to make a career out of this. You know, I, like everybody else within the YouTube community, have an opinion, and I feel I just want to express that, which is going to take me to my video. This video is going to be about the last couple of videos I did about Tupac and Biggie. This one's going to be about this show that just came out called Unsolved, the murders of Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac Shakur. So I just want to throw in my, it's going to be a little bit of a review and my opinion on the show so far. You know, first of all, I have to say, I'm only 5 episodes into this show, and on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 7 so far. It really is that good. Now, for those of you who grew up during that time period, me being one of them, I'm an 80s baby, 83. Tupac and Biggie, that was my generation. I grew up, and I got to bear witness to both of these guys' careers while they were alive. For what it's worth, the show just shows, you know, there's nothing new that the show is going to show you. So for those of you who grew up like myself, who grew up during that time period and haven't seen the show but are thinking about seeing the show, I think you should go into it watching the show for the performances, because the performances are really good. Whoever did the hiring, the casting, excuse me, of the actors to play these roles, I think they did a really good job. I mean, the guy who played Tupac, he's got more of the, he brought more of the energy, he breathed more life into the Tupac persona to the guy I grew up with than the guy from All Eyes on Me, who kind of looked, you know, I mean, I guess he kind of looks like Tupac, but I've seen bits and pieces of that movie, and it just seems like he phoned in his performance. So he really didn't have, you know, I've heard it said so many times from people who knew Tupac, like his friends, close friends and colleagues. Tupac was a very animated guy, you know what I mean? He was just 0 to 100. That was just who he was all the time. He's just always on. And this guy here in the movie, I didn't get that, you know? Just like I said, he was just walking through the whole Tupac role. Excuse me. This guy here, Mark Rose, who they chose to play Tupac, who, if you didn't know, he was in the Straight Outta Compton movie. He looks just like him. He brought more of he brought Tupac to life more so than the guy from the All Eyes on Me movie did. This show right here is the reason why I feel like we really didn't need another Tupac movie. We really didn't need All Eyes on Me. You know, with all the documentaries that had been put out, and the thing, my gripe with All Eyes on Me was like they couldn't even get the smallest details down about Tupac's life. The material's there, all you have to do is put it up on screen. I mean, the story tells itself. I'll give you an example. Well, just recently with a show here, the episode 5, they showed Tupac getting robbed in Quad Studios. I've been to Quad Studios right in New York. It's not too far from Times Square. It's like right up the street. I think it's 1 or 2 streets over from Broadway, but it's right around the corner. And it's a small place. The moment you walk in, there's a desk. It's like basically like a hallway. That's all it is. It's a hallway, and then you have the 2, I think it's 2 elevators right around the corner. When you walk in, the desk is right there, literally right there. You take the right, and then there's the elevators right there. I mean, it's an L-shaped hallway. Well, in the All Eyes on Me movie, the guy's walking into supposedly supposed to be the the elevator where the elevators are, Quad Studios, but you can clearly tell. You know, it looks like a hotel lobby that he's walking into. It doesn't even look like the Quad Studios, and I guess the movie was filmed in Atlanta. But it's like you can't even get that simple shit down. I mean, you could, you know, they got it down in the TV show, but you couldn't do it for the movie. And that's just ridiculous, I think. But that is one thing that's really good about this show, because it gives you all the facts. And it's very surprising that it's doing that, because this is Hollywood. You know, I've said this before, Hollywood likes to play both sides. They straddle the fence a lot of the time, and they don't really care about giving you the whole truth. That's why it's very important to do your homework. But besides that, the guy who played Biggie, he was really good. Doesn't really look anything like Biggie, the young Biggie anyway, but he sounds like him. There's a scene where he's with Funk Flex in the studio, and he's rapping, and he raps a lot like Biggie. And the thing that really sold me on the performance was the emotion that he put into it. You know, he was just real passionate with it. The guy who played Biggie in the Notorious movie, when he rapped Biggie's lyrics, it sounded like he was reading it off a paper or a teleprompter or something. There wasn't really anything behind it. You know, he was just reciting the lyrics like a fan would. You know what I mean? He wouldn't really like rap them like I didn't really feel Biggie when he was rapping. You know, it just wasn't really all that convincing to me. Like, he didn't really mean it. This guy here, he's got the attitude. Now, in the show, they didn't use any of Tupac and Biggie's music, but they pretty much used the same sound that both of these guys had. So they put that element in there. So the vocal charisma, the sound of Tupac and the sound of Biggie, the type beats they use, the flows, it's very similar, but they didn't use their actual music. And I'm sure that there has to be some legal issues tied in with why they didn't do that. But, you know, if you grew up during that time, you're thinking about watching the TV show, if anything else, watch it for the performances, because the performances are really good. So basically the TV show, what it is, it goes between 1997, the period when Detective Russell Poole was handling the case, and 2006, when Detective Greg Caden was handling the case. So it goes between these two time periods, and in between that, you get to see Biggie and Tupac, the individuals, and their relationship and their friendship and the bond that they had as friends. And you realize that there really was no animosity between these guys. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, thank God, finally we're getting down to the meat of the situation, because we don't need to focus on beef anymore. It's been 20 plus years. The East versus West is over. These guys were friends. You know, let's put that out there. And that's something, like I said, going back to the All Eyes on Me and even Notorious, we really didn't need to have those movies. We needed to move on from that narrative that's just become a dead horse, and we need to focus on the fact that there really wasn't no animosity between these guys specifically. It was just other bad elements around them that were basically manipulating both of these guys in a way for personal gain, and for financial gain. And they use these kids and they pitted them against each other, and that's what this show hones in and points out very well. It does a really good job of that, and for that I applaud and commend them for that, because I think it's time, like I said, we just move on from this, you know, oh, they were just, you know, everything you hear about Tupac and Biggie, oh, they were beefing, oh, they had war with each other, oh, this, you know, everything is just so negative. And this show shows that, no, well, there was a time before that when they were cool. They were real cool. They were like fucking like, they were like brothers, you know what I mean? They were like kindred spirits. And you know, like I said, there were certain elements on the outside that got to them, and they got caught up, and it's very unfortunate. And the other thing I just wanted to point to was, and I made a video about this, and I talked about how Detective Russell Poole, the motives of Detective Russell Poole, and this show just proved it, proved my point. And basically, Russell Poole was just trying to prove that the LAPD, the division he was in specifically, was corrupt. I think he used the Biggie murder to just prove, it was almost seemed like he was trying to unearth all this bad cop corruption that leaked over from the Rampart scandal. I'm not going to, and you know, if you haven't already researched and did your homework on the Rampart, go research and learn about Rampart, because this has something to do with it. Do I personally feel that Suge hired cops to kill Biggie? It would not be a smart move. That's similar to, like, people want to say Suge hired someone to kill Tupac. Now, when I was younger, I kind of believed this without even thinking about it. If you're going to kill someone, why are you going to be sitting in the car next to him? Why are you going to be sitting in the car next to him when they're half your size? Tupac is 5'10", 160 pounds. Suge is 6'3". I mean, Suge's built like a shit brick house. You know, I think he plays some college ball. He's huge. He sticks out like a sore thumb. And you're sitting in a BMW with a guy half your size. I mean, it's hard not for you to get hit. The only reason why he didn't get hit, like Tupac got hit, was because Tupac tried to jump in between into the back seat to get away from the bullets. And when he jumped into the back seat, tried to jump in the back seat, he exposed himself, and he basically shielded Suge from getting shot up. But Suge should have fucking been killed too, and he wasn't. So back to what I was saying, Detective Russell Poole was just trying to prove that the cops in LAPD, that the corruption didn't stop at Rampart, that it leaked into other avenues. In this case, death row. There were cops on the payroll, death row payroll, but if I was Suge, that's not a smart move. The feds were watching Suge. I'm sure LAPD was watching Suge back to when Tupac was alive. So why would you hire a cop? And what makes you think, let's say he did hire a cop. If you're a cop, especially a dirty cop, and you go kill this guy and they're investigating the murder, and the cops that they have investigating the murder wind up going to death row, and they sniff out your scent, well, now you're busted, you're gonna get fired, and you're gonna go to fucking jail for the rest of your life. You got a lot to lose. If you have a family, you're never gonna see them again. And a lot of these guys, probably to get a reduced sentence, because that's what they do, they flip on each other, he's gonna be ratting out everybody in death row, right? So you think a cop is gonna stick up for Suge Knight? No, get out of here. I personally feel that Suge did hire someone, one of his goons, probably one of the Bloods, to do it, because he knew the guy wouldn't fucking say anything. He paid the guy off. The guy who killed Biggie, I personally believe he's dead. I don't think he's alive. The same with the Tupac, you know, Orlando Anderson, he's dead. And I think that is the reason why Suge hired the guy, because he knew this guy at some point was probably just going to wind up dead anyway, because he's a gangbanger. I mean, that's, you know, there's that ends two ways. They either wind up in prison or they wind up dead, or both, right? But overall, 7 out of 10 is what I give the show. I definitely recommend it. Like I said, I've only made it to episode 5, so I got some catching up to do. But it's very good show. And I actually can't wait for the movie, the Johnny Depp movie, which I think will be out next year. Maybe we'll start filming next year. But that's all I wanted to say about that. Y'all have yourselves a good night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And once again, thanks for watching and thanks for subbing. Take care. Peace.